I send my love over the mountains. I send my love over the sea. I send my love into the heavens, and it returns to me. I send my peace over the mountains. I send my peace over the sea. I send my peace into the heavens, and it returns to me. I send my joy over the mountains. I send my joy over the seas. I send my joy into the heavens, and it returns to me, and it returns to me, and it returns to me.
We give thanks for peace, internal peace, external peace, peace on the inhale, peace in the exhale. And the power and the potential that is ever present as us for us. Always present, infinite, eternal, and there awaiting our alignment, waiting our choice, our atonement, our awakening, our remembering. Allow your bodies to have a big, full, deep breath and a conscious spaciousness created for deeper peace, increased power, increased potential. And imagine and embody with feeling what it would be like when something doesn't go the way we wanted, what it would be like to respond with, what can I do in this situation? So the opposite of victimization the power and the potential that lies in what can I do here? What can I do in this situation? What can I do in this interaction? What can I do in these feelings? What can I do in this relating? What would that be like? And imagine and embody what it would be like if you were no longer able to be coerced. If any person was being willful or threatening, manipulative, controlling, or using coercion with you, if you were in power instead. So they're still doing what they do, and you are less and less affected by it. If you were unable to be coerced, what would that be like? To be in power instead. It's what would it be like to stop coercing others? To let it be, to let them be for your own sake. To stay in power, changing what you can, accepting what you cannot change, and the wisdom to know this is where all the power in the universe lies. My wisdom to know the difference. What would that be like? How would that feel? Imagine how you would be if after today you would respond to situations instead of react. If your response was discerned, conscious, empower, regardless of what's happening, this is how I'm going to be with it. A deep breath, aware that infinite power is my divine birthright. It is your divine birthright. Power. Infinite power. Therefore, infinite potential. I invite you to claim that today. This is the truth of me. And repeat these words if they're true for you. I know who I am. I know what I am. I know how I serve. I'm choosing presence and potential. I am that I am. And I begin again today. So be it. Amen.
One power, one power, one power. There's one power invisible, and you see it everywhere and every day. One power indescribable, and you speak of it with every word you say. Mysterious until you know the truth, as simple as the love inside of you. Call it God, call it Spirit, call it Jesus, call it Lord, call it Buddha, Mahaluha, angel's wings or heaven's door. But whatever name you give it, it's all one power, can't you see? It's the power of the love in you and me. One power, one power, one power. We speak so many languages, have different clothing, different colors, different names. But different is only dangerous when we forget that in our hearts we're all the same. We'll remember when we close our eyes and see that such differences were never meant to be. Call it God, call it Spirit, call it Jesus, call it Lord, call it Buddha, Mahaluha, Hakim, or Heaven's Door. It's Muhammad, it's your mind, it's your soul, and it's your sign. It's the universe, it's music, Mother Earth or Father Time. By whatever name you give it, it's all one power, can't you see? Whatever name you give it, it's the very air we breathe. It's the power of love in you and me. One power, one power, one power. It's the moment of creation. It's the everlasting peace. It's the freedom of forgiveness. It's the sweetness of release. It's the joy of inspiration. It's the sunshine on your face. It's the brightness of all nations. It's the boundlessness of space. It's the beauty of a baby, the serenity of sleep. It's the anger we abandon. It's love that runs so deep. It's one power. One power. One power. What we are is one power. One power. One power. It's the power of the love that runs forever in you and me. It's the power of love in you and me.
Bravo, David. Thank you. And you said these are some of your favorite songs. I absolutely see why. And it's one of mine. And it's a Daniel Namod tune. And he is, again, our musician for our affiliated New Thought Network conference, which is at Unity Village, October 7 to 11. So if you want to come and be in his presence and come and be a part of a New Thought organization, do that. You're all welcome, and you can find information about that at antn.org. And I'll be there, so I'd love to see you in person because I get to do this beautiful service. It's my highest privilege to be able to do this, to serve with you all. Many of you have known me and know that my mission and ministry is to serve those who serve. So that is why I'm here today, because that's what I believe about you, that you're here in service, that you're here in a conscious evolution of your own soul and taking responsibility for the only life that is not actually ours, but God's life through us and as us, and whatever responsibility we have is ours to do what we can to cause and create an ever expanding next greatest iteration of ourselves as a human, and to wake up to our wicked ways and to see that there is absolutely a new choice available to us in every single interaction. So as we proceed today, I'm going to be referring to my own book called Presence and Potential. And it's 26 chapters, and 26 chapters that is a spiritual practice. Each one of the chapters is a spiritual practice. And it's available if you want it for yourself. And I'd be happy to send you one. If you just tell me if you want one, I'll send it over to you. So think about then where you lose power. You're just going along, things are kind of cooking on all burners, and then all of a sudden you're like the rug's been pulled out from you. You're worried, you're doubtful, you're mad, you're frustrated, you're irritated. And I know that you get that way sometimes, although you may not like to admit it, because it's how we're wired in our brain. Our brain is wired for primarily two things, which is to survive and to procreate, to keep going the species. And anytime we don't get what we want, it triggers something in us that activates our survival mechanisms. So it's not easy to know, I'm not just getting my way here, it won't kill me. I'm not getting my way, this is not going as planned, is very, very uncomfortable, and it's not fatal. So get a sense, look at where you lose power. Where do you get boogered up? Where do you respond or react in ways you're not proud of? What causes that? Who causes that? Who's the matter with you? And I used to have a long list of who's the matter with me. My list is a little shorter now after 4 decades of this. And I've still got a short list, and I work on it every single day. I'm looking at who I'm still making the matter with me and how I'm not letting them be them and do them. And I'm trying to get them to do it my way, which is the right way, of course. And then wondering why I'm stressed and why I don't feel empowered and why I don't feel aligned with the infinite power and potential that I know is my own divine nature. and is my own innate power. So then I can wake up, dust myself off, and say, choose again, Martha. Choose again. Make another choice in this situation. And it sounds easy, doesn't it? It sounds like it's sensible. It's something sensible. Any sensible person would do this. But remember, we're not dealing with the high part of the brain here. We're not dealing with cognition. We're not dealing with co-creative, resourceful, thoughtful processes. We're dealing with this little smaller part of the brain that only knows how to respond like an animal, which is to fight back, get more jacked up and boogered up, or flee, get out of here, take my toys, leave the playground, or freeze over, just absolutely shut down, pretend everything is okay. However, we're not conveying an energy that everything is okay, even if we say fine. This is one of the things many of you have heard me say before. Us spiritual types walk around spouting out platitudes like, oh, it's all good, it's all good, it's all good. It's like, well, tell your face that it's all good, because it has not caught up yet to how good things are. And the stress that we have on our faces and the wrinkles we have in our brows and the eye rolling we're doing is not indicative of an embodiment of it's all good. So in the absolute, apparently it's all good. We'll find out one day when we return home to where we never left. In the meantime, back here at the ranch, we've got some humanness, and we've got some devolution instead of evolutionary processes, or at least it looks that way. So we've got some things to sort out. So think about then, as you choose an empowered state, an infinite power for yourself, some ways to go about it, some ways to do it, to include, I'm going to do a better job at defining myself and where I stand, and let everybody else stand where they stand. What would that be like? So what's it like when people are trying to tell you what to do and how to think and how to be? What's that like when they're dosing off their philosophies on you? Most of us don't like it. We don't appreciate it. So that's the reason, another reason to stop doing it. Not only is it disempowering to us, but because it's ineffective. And it sets in motion an energy that is destructive energies, not constructive, not causative, creative energies. So think about then another one of the chapters goes into keeping a clear distinction between facts and feelings. So facts. So somebody invited me to go out to dinner. And I say, thank you for the invitation, and I can't go, or I'm not available. So the facts are, they invited me to dinner. I thanked them and said no. But what are the feelings around that? Because if we don't get a period in there, the mind will start to interpret. They don't like me. They don't love me. They don't respect me. They think I'm a nobody after all I've done for them. Why couldn't they go to dinner with me? I'm not a priority for them. So we get a comma in there and interpret the no instead of keep a period in there. They asked me to dinner. I said no. Instead of they asked me to dinner, I said no, and it means I don't care for them. I'm not respectful. I don't value their time. All that interpretation is where we absolutely lose power. So think about then living out power to the period. So somebody didn't call you back, period. Instead, they didn't call you back, comma, they're not accountable. They're not trustworthy. They don't respect me. They owe me. They should have called me back. I needed them to call me back. So that comma in there leaves an open door for a hi ho, off to hell I go. So and then disempowered. unable to keep a clear distinction between what happened and what I interpreted that happened. Interpreted means I made up something about what just happened. All of this will leave me less and less in power, less and less in sanity, less and less in sobriety, less and less in resourcefulness, less and less in innovation. How could I be with this differently? Another thing is how we expect, how much, and we do this naturally. It's as old as creation, that we demand or think or believe that people are going to do something the way we do it, or they're going to think and believe the way we do it. And this, you can get real practical with this. Like you can go in, I've watched people over, most of you know, I traipsed around and went to church after church after church for nearly 20 years. And somebody would say, hey, can you set up this room for them to have fellowship and food after this room, after the service? And somebody would come in there and set the table up according to how they thought the table ought to be set up. And right behind them, somebody would come in and reset the table according to the way they thought the table should be set. And that could go on to infinity. Instead of, they didn't set it up the way I would have set it up. And it wasn't my job to set it up. It's none of my business how they set it up. And I may be uncomfortable with how they set it up because it's not my way of setup, but it's uncomfortable, not fatal. So to any degree that I leave my own business and get over into somebody else's business, I lose power. I'll have stress, more and more stress. So these are not little things. These are not little ways that we can actually live in a more empowered state. And it can get very weary on us, because when things are going rapidly and quickly, particularly in the times that we're in, with things changing as quickly as they are, that we can get really weary from this. Can anybody relate to this? That you think, what difference does it make? How much stamina do I have for this? Like, can I even doubting that we can do it? And one of the ministers told me this morning, I did a service earlier this morning too, and his wife just passed, and 45 years, and he's on up there at around 86 now. And I said, how are you managing? How are you coping with this and managing this? And he said, I've tripled down on the divine. I've tripled down on the divine. And I thought, that's an absolute sane, sensible thing to do. So when I cannot control what's happening, when I'm in my own doubts and confusions and bewilderment and weary from just what it takes to face the times that we're in, to face the high emotions and losses and griefs and war and everything that is part of this physical plane, it's not uncommon to have a weariness and to have the doubts and confusions. And I sincerely, wholeheartedly believe that we, the people here, you and me, people hearing this message, whoever this message makes its way to, into our ears today, and right out of my mouth back into my own ears for me to hear it today, that we are the ones. We are the small, committed group of people that absolutely believe there's another way to be, that there is a more evolved way to be, that there is a new earth possible, and that we're here to be part of the cause and creation of that new world. And that will give me my remembering why I do what I do, and why I want to break through of some of this lower energies and these animalistic patterning in me, is toward this end. It's toward this means to go in the direction of a more awakened world, a more awakened way to be in my own expressions in the world. And it means, folks, that we are going to have to hang in here like a hair in a biscuit. I mean, just double down, triple down, keep ourselves restored, cared for, spiritually prayed up, meditate, let go, observe the mind, observe the patterning in us, take responsibility for the healing of all of our parts, what's within us that has not been reconciled or healed yet. And it's the highest contribution I sincerely believe we'll ever make to the world, to our families, to our neighborhoods, to our offices, to our organizations, to God itself as us. Any time, any interaction, every interaction that we make another choice, that we keep ourselves above the line into this bigger part of our brain that can discern, think, choose, pause, presence ourselves before we proceed. Before I fire off that email to that knucklehead, I'm going to pause and presence myself and establish, how do I want to be with this, regardless of what they do, regardless of what they've said, regardless of their attitude. I am responsible only for my response. Responsibility, ability to respond instead of a reactivity that is knee-jerkish and absolutely going to be typically a regressive reactivity, not a progressive reactivity. So think about then what it would be like for you to take responsibility, to activate, to choose, and to live from the power that is already you. An inherent power, an innate infinite power that is within you that is never missing. And let then the first move, my first response, my first reply, my first everything will have to be only after I align with that power. So before I speak, I take a breath to empower. I receive a breath, a conscious breath that determines how I'm going to be with this interaction, how I'm going to be with this rascal, whatever it is, with this attitude, with this disposition, and to hang in there and to be willing to continue to learn. I'm so inspired by you as a ministry, by you as individuals. Many of you have been at this for decades, and you still show up over and over again with a wholehearted willingness to learn. And that, I believe sincerely, is the height of power. A willingness to learn, a willingness to pause, to think, to choose again, and to say, I have an option here. I'm going to exercise my option here. And I'm going to do less and less reactivity and more responsibility for my own sake and for the sake of the world and for the sake of creating a world that we pray about and sing about nearly every Sunday and often 7 days a week, a world we want to see. Let there be peace on earth. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let it begin with me in this interaction. Let it begin with me in this email. Let it begin with me the way I respond to the customer service that's transferred me 7 times. Let it be with me when I'm very disappointed about how something went. Let it be with me when I feel disrespected or left out. Let peace begin with me. And let peace be the fuel for my power, my infinite power, and my infinite potential. And then I'm going ever, ever, ever in the direction of infinite potential and infinite power in all the ways that I serve and in all the ways that I express. And when I don't, I will suffer. And my suffering is not in vain. My suffering is there to awaken me, to knock, knock on my heart. Wake up, honey. Choose again. Wake up, choose again. I love each and every one of you. MarthaCreek.com to contact me. And any way in the world I can serve you, get in touch with me. I'm also going to have Tuesday night classes in June, and the information is in the newsletter, which will come out June 1st. And you can get that link by just going over to the website, MarthaCreek.com, and putting your email in there. The email will come right out to you. I'd love to see you there, and any way I can serve you in the future, you're welcome to it. All blessings to you, and a deep bow for all the ways you serve. I'm delighted to be able to serve with you. Blessings.